We are live from beautiful, historic downtown Ashtabula Harbor over here on Bridge Street at the Made in Ohio studios.
Here we are, baby. It's Thursday night. Best night of the week, folks.
Wrapping up some playoff stuff. I am Ryan, my partner Sam, the voice of 440 Goal. What's going on, Sam? How you doing, bud?
It's been it's doing pretty good. I've had a long week of travel, but back where I belong here in Ashtabula, covering some sports and really looking forward to tonight. Before I forget though, a big shout out to the St. John Heralds as they're down in I think it's down or over in Strongsville, we'll call it.
Somewhere.
Taking on Wellsville in a Sweet 16 match. So good luck to those girls.
Good luck to those ladies. They're 25-3, I do believe, going into that match, right?
Yes. As a lot of Wellsville's 23-1.
Yes.
So this is going to be a heck of a matchup.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get some updates. We'll know probably by the time the show's over who won that or didn't win that.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, so, but yeah, nonetheless, we're going into a kind of a big show tonight, Sam, and we got two players of the week because we're playing catch-up.
That's right.
So we're going to have Casey Turner join us and hopefully Matt Miller, who is finishing up with some basketball stuff.
Yeah, because unbelievably, it's already winter sports time.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it? Feels like it just went like that. We're going to go over some records have been broken in Ashtabula County, so we're going to go over some record-breaking, tidy that up just a little bit.
Yep, we got one guy who took over a school record, so he's going to get his shout out.
Yeah, do a little week 11 review. We did have 6 of the 8 county teams in Ashtabula here play in the playoffs, with 2 of those 6 advancing. So obviously we're going to have a little talk about playoffs again.
And both of those games, if you missed it, they are available. Well, one of them is the Jefferson Hubbard game, or Jefferson Poland game is available over on YSN. But that Geneva versus Gilmore Academy game was an absolute classic.
Yes. Yeah. I was actually watching just a little bit of that before we came down here to Made in Ohio. And if I recall, the score at half was 34-20 right before halftime.
Yeah.
At one point in time, Geneva was down 27-6 too.
Yeah.
They come back, and, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but they come back and got a hold of Gilmore by a point.
Yes, they did. 49-48. I don't know if Geneva scored 49 at all this year.
No, and, hey, good on Geneva, because we've said all year long, that playing wing T is tough to come from behind, and they just smacked me in the mouth and let me know that is an absolute fallacy.
I'll tell you what, they weren't the only wing T to smack somebody in the mouth. The game we covered was whole lot of wing T as well. But we'll get into that as well as a little bit of other stuff later. At 9 o'clock, we will have another special guest joining us, Matt Hatchett, going to talk a little bit about that Jefferson Falcons win over Poland. But without any further ado, let's talk about our Week 10 Player of the Week, the man getting it done for the Mustangs. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Casey Turner.
Click the right button. Here he is. How you doing, Casey?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, doing great. Like I said before, better now that you're here with us.
So, Casey, you go out there in Week 10. You guys have a big matchup. The year obviously hasn't gone exactly how you guys would have wanted it to go. A lot of close games, and I mean a lot of close games over there in Orwell. Grand Valley really getting it done on the offensive side of the ball, much more than in years past. But you get it done with the 28 carries and 124 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a fumble recovery. So all over the place for Casey Turner in that game, leading to their second win and the win that seals the end of the season. Casey, how was that game? How was practice and coming up to that game? And what was it like when you were in the game?
Well, practice, everybody knew we had to send, even like an underclassmen knew we had to send out the seniors with the victory and shit. And then for next year, just that'll help them going into the year next year, going out on a dub.
Yeah, and one of the things we talked about with you before we got on here was, you personally taking on a bigger role in the rushing attack for Grand Valley this year. You guys are, you guys got a great quarterback out there by the name of Nate Boyarsky, the chef. So passing is something that you guys have been able to do well, and you get very well involved in that part of the game as well. But rushing is how you guys get that set up, and you out there running like a juggernaut made it a lot easier. So what was it like coming into this senior year as what was going to be, I guess, the feature back?
Well, I just knew that I was going to have a lot of responsibility, especially in those close games. the games we were close and we had to get the run game going, because if we didn't get the run game going, we had to try to play catch up with passing the ball.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, one thing, you're a bulldozer out there, man. Like once you get downhill, you know, you just know how to, I guess, hit the Madden truck stick. Was that flip on the R stick? I think it is. Flip that up.
You just click it forward.
Yeah. What when you're lowering your head and going after it, what's going through your mind?
I don't know. Whenever I get out there, I just get my adrenaline going and I just start pushing it forward even more. So.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, he wears number 40. There's definitely some Peyton Hillis in him.
Yeah, there is.
You know, before the mono got him and he went to before he went to Miami, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, Casey, you know, with a smaller school, you know, the best athletes, you guys are playing both sides of the ball. You know, you're getting to play some defense, you play some offense. What is your favorite side of the ball to play? Do you like being the bruiser or do you like knocking people's lights out?
I definitely like getting the ball. I like playing offense. That's my side of the ball, I think. I feel like I play more comfortable on that side of the ball.
Now, what are some of the things you worked on in the offseason? Because your feet looked a lot better this year. You were seeing the field a whole lot better, and you had the ability to, you know, you've always had the ability to break some tackles, but this year it wasn't through just sheer force. Your angles and everything else were different. What were some of the things you did in the offseason to make this season as good as it was?
Well, a lot of it came with just getting everybody there at workouts. I mean, I was going to attending more workouts and stuff, and just everybody knew that this was all the seniors knew it was going to be the last ride. So we kind of wanted to try to have the best season we could.
I was going to say, yeah, you know, bring up being a senior. You played all 4 years of football from freshman all the way up, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So you got 4 years of experience. Out of all your experiences, Casey, what's the one you'll always remember when, you know, you'll be 30 years old, you know, or like 82, like Sam over here one day and say, you know, this is a memory that I love and you'll cherish and share with someone forever?
It's probably going to be the bus ride home after the last game. I mean, we were all just having a good old time.
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome
you guys ended the year on the right path and also get a victory over PV for you guys get to take home the Valley Trophy this year, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
So is that the first time you guys have actually taken that Valley Trophy home since you've been in school?
Yeah, that's the first time that I've got to be a part of us taking it home.
Well, man, that is certainly
awesome.
That's certainly the way to end the senior year, man.
Yeah. All right, so you had all those yards, all them touchdowns, fumble recovery. I got to ask you, a lot of people to thank, but who do you think you want to thank tonight, Casey?
I want to thank my coaches and my parents for sure.
Okay.
Hey, that's not a bad answer, man.
That
is not a bad answer at all. You know, Casey, before we let you go, what are the sports? What do you got planned for the rest of this senior year? What are you doing in the winter? Are you doing anything in the spring? What do you got coming up?
I'm just going to be preparing for baseball, last baseball season.
What position you play, Casey?
Third base.
Ooh, I like that. I played third base. Not in high school. It was minor leagues, you know. That's a hot spot over there, boy, especially when a lot of righties in Ashtabula County. So,
yeah, I'll tell you what. There's no such thing as a slow roller to third.
Nope.
You're getting hot shots all day. That's what's coming right now. We'll be looking forward to seeing you guys play some baseball because that Grand Valley baseball program pretty good. Got to watch them play quite a bit last year. But you know, Casey, one of the last questions we're going to ask you today, buddy, is what T-shirt size are you?
I'm an extra large.
All right, extra large it is for an extra large running back getting it done for the Grand Valley Mustangs. Casey, we want to thank you so much for coming on the show and wish you the best of luck in everything that's coming.
All right, thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Casey. Enjoy baseball season, bud.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Thanks, buddy. All right, so that was Grand Valley's Casey Turner, who goes out there in Week 10. And Grand Valley, you know, they've had a bit of a struggle this year.
Yeah, struggle. They did, but you know what? They at the end of that season, they had a nice win against PV. Well, towards the end of the season, nice win against PV, and then also a nice win against Orange, right?
Yes.
Orange?
No, PV and Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Sorry,
So they got the job, or not Brooklyn Beechwood.
Beechwood,
Beechwood,
yeah.
yeah. So Beechwood
Bisons. I did know it was the Bisons, right?
It's the
Yeah,
Bisons,
yeah.
and Beechwood is actually who they beat them last year as well. So,
Right. Yeah.
that's becoming a little bit of a rivalry. I think that's something you're going to see right there in the CVC. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that CVC lineup probably at the tail end of the show, because there's some big changes coming to that, and I think it's really going to help.
It's
Asheville
official
County.
now, isn't it?
It's official, like a referee with a whistle, baby.
Yeah.
But as we get ready to welcome our next guest,
We're gonna try. We didn't get to prep them, so
Yeah.
we're gonna
He's
throw
gonna
him up
freestyle.
yeah, we're gonna freestyle with him. Let me get the background up here, make sure everything's right.
So we went to week 10, and now we're going to be bringing on our week 9 player of the week.
So we do apologize for any confusion. Oh, he's got his video on. He heard it.
Yeah.
Here we go. So week 9 player of the week, the Herald's own Matt Miller. Let me bring up his graphic real quick, Sam, so you can read right through it.
That's right. Matt Miller, who goes out there and has seemingly got it done in every single game for this Herald's team, is the team leading receiver this year with just about 600 yards. I mean, really getting it done. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Matty Ice, Matt Miller. Matt, how you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, doing great. Exceptionally excited to see you on the show. Love to see a Herald come on here and get to talk about, all the good stuff that happened week 9 there.
Yeah, I just started off the game good. Basically came out with a touchdown right out of the gate.
Yeah. You're here.
Yeah, you're good.
I thought you guys were frozen.
No,
we're just listening intently. No, You know what, Matt? That's kind of been the story with you all year, though, as we've covered quite a bit of St. John football. We're St. John parents, so we see a lot of it.
Yep.
But you've been able to go out there and get open game after game after game. And you coming in as a senior who actually has played some quarterback as well. But you have a sophomore, not just a sophomore going to quarterback, but a sophomore who played line last year for this team. Matt, talk a little bit about the connection that you and Vin get together this year.
We really just started throwing a lot together in the summer. We developed a connection early, and as soon as he started playing quarterback. So the connection was there as soon as he started, and it was pretty good during the season. So
yeah. I was going to say in that, I think it was a week 9 game, right? Yeah. So week 9 game, hopefully I'm saying it right, because I'm probably getting confused, but in that game, it was a game we covered, right, Sam?
Maybe.
I think it was. Well, nonetheless, the one game that we covered, I'll go into that one, but nothing. Vin Narducci gets injured. You got to step in at quarterback in that game. Do you remember? Is that ringing a bell to you?
Yeah, I actually, when I had to go in at quarterback, I had no idea.
No, right. So that's what I was going to ask. What's going through your mind? Because in that game, I think before you got to quarterback, I think you had over 100 yards receiving.
Yes.
There was quite a few, and I think a touchdown, maybe 2. And then Narducci gets injured, and all of a sudden, Matt Miller's playing quarterback. And next thing I know, he's running down the field, running a touchdown in. So all this is leading up. What's going through your mind when all this is happening?
I had no idea what was going on. Vin got hurt. I didn't know. They told me in the huddle that I was playing quarterback.
So Coach Delgos didn't even tell you? You just showed up. They're like, hey, buddy, you're taking snaps.
Well, I take snaps at practice, but it was the first snap I took at quarterback in a game all year. And I did not know I was going to play quarterback. So
yeah, you know what, Matt? That seems to have been one of the stories of you throughout your football career, honestly, at St. John. Now, it's very well known, the numbers-wise, St. John, not very much. I think you guys are sitting at about 18, 19 kids out there. So everybody's going to have to, play and do both ways, especially when they're as good an athlete as you. So something you're used to. Millers are very well known to St. John football. Yeah. I can tell you that. But, you've actually thrown the ball a little bit as well. I think last year, didn't you have to come in after some injuries and throw the ball as well?
That was actually Tyler Cathcart. I didn't take any snaps at quarterback last year.
Now, okay.
Yeah.
I must have had, or maybe Dan.
Yep. It's a year ago. I mean, the fact that he made it that far is,
yeah. So when you go out there, and one of the things you've been able to do this year is just find yourself open. You know what I mean? You've been a nightmare for the defensive backs all year. What are some of the things you worked on when you came in as a senior on a team that was very, I guess, youth heavy? You know, you got a lot of sophomores, a freshman line. You know, what are some of the things you worked on, whether it was leadership or just working on drills? How did you get better and get yourself to this level as a senior wide receiver?
Well, it was really in the off season. I worked harder than I ever did before, trying to get faster. I really, really improved my footwork this year. And I really wanted to just come out and be a big leader for this team this year because everyone's so young, and I did that. So,
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry, buddy.
oh, I was done talking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. So coming up here, are you playing basketball this year?
I am.
Yeah. What position?
Point guard.
Point guard. You've been working for that too now, right?
I have.
Senior year basketball. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you know, a fun fact about Matt. Matt, you are a twin, correct?
I am.
Ooh.
So, Matt,
I'm a twin too, by the way. Yeah.
So you get to go out there with you know, your brother Tommy or Tom Miller and getting out there, and you know, you take more of the, I guess, the skilled side of positions, as Tommy's the lineman, the center, the you know, all that stuff. Who do you think's a better athlete between you and Tom?
I don't. I get out all the time. I don't. We both do good at our own things.
You like your brother, don't you?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great answer. You know what? One of the things we asked. So, as you know, you've played football for all 4 years of your time at St. John, or maybe not with the 8-on-8 year, but you've definitely been part of the football family throughout your entire career. What is going to be your favorite memory, football wise, as a Herald?
Probably we played Wyndham, and I blocked this kid super hard. Probably
I actually remember this play that he's talking about.
the 10 seconds before the flag was thrown. So just the feeling of blocking that kid as hard as I could. That was just great.
Listen, I think that happened this year, right, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that play distinctly.
Yeah.
It was one of the best special teams blocks I've ever seen in my life. So that's one to really hang your hat on. Ryan, you go ahead with your question.
So you got 7 receptions, 129 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. I think we're right on that one. And 1 passing touchdown for that game. All that yards, all them, all that fun. Who do you have to thank for that?
Probably my offensive coordinator, Ryan Bento, for helping me get open and putting me on the right routes to catch the ball.
I like it. I mean, I do like, when people say offensive line, just throwing that out there. But
fishing.
that's, just fishing. But it's okay. I'll take Bento. I like Bento.
Yeah, you really got the job done, and we're really looking forward to watching you. I know you play basketball, and you're also a baseball player as well. What position do you play on the baseball field?
I pitch and I play shortstop.
Awesome.
And this is a guy who went to sectionals last year with that team. So really,
very excited for this year coming up for you guys.
Yeah, just a very, very multi-sport talented guy. Really looking forward to getting to see how this year ends for you. I want to thank you for coming on the show. But before we let you go, Matt, what T-shirt size are you wearing now?
I wear a medium.
All right, there it is. And for our final T-shirt of the year, that's going to be a medium. Matt, thanks so much for coming on to the show. We can't wait to have you back after basketball, because I know he can shoot the rock too.
Yeah, good luck in basketball, buddy. Good luck in baseball.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
All right, buddy.
There it is. Yeah, he was between him and Will Anderson, their passing attack in St. John this year was really phenomenal. I mean, Narducci, who I just cannot say this enough, is a sophomore who comes in, plays quarterback for the first time ever.
Right.
Was a guard last year.
Yes.
And comes out this year and throws for over 1,200 yards.
Yep, amazing, amazing. I think he was third in the county in passing.
Yeah, I
do
mean,
believe.
just
Yep.
and we're gonna go through it. We're gonna go through it here later when we talk about the records that have been updated, because we got a bunch of guys who are now on the all-time county list.
Yes.
And he's one of the names is Narducci, and so is Matt Miller with his over 600-yard receiving year.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
So he's gonna get on there too. I mean, and then a bunch of receptions, although Miller got those 600 yards with less receptions, because seemingly every time he caught the ball, it was for a good 30 to 40 yards.
Yes. Yeah. He always found a way. I mean, he'd have in games 4 receptions for 120 yards. Don't know how he did it, but that's just what it was.
He finds a way to get open. I mean, this is a kid who really understands the space on the field, and in a program that was really trying to get their legs underneath of them. If you remember from when we covered early in the year, we thought that St. John was going to go over to like a wing T kind of
offense, yeah.
Stacked eye set. They were going to go heavy run heavy. And then after that first game, they're like, listen, we got to throw the rock if we're going to win. And they go out and they beat the brakes off Sebring, get the job done out there. They had a tough year after that. But they've had some tough competition. I mean, after PV beat them, PV only lost one game.
Yes.
After that, that they seemingly woke up the Lakers. Vienna Matthews won 8 games. Wyndham went to the playoffs this year. Fairport Harding, who has become their nemesis, uses both of those victories to jump them into the playoffs this year too. Yeah. So it's a tough. The NAC is a conference that goes back and forth constantly. And as St. John, with the youth that they've got on that team, and a very capable and established junior high program as well.
Correct. Yeah. Young junior high program, about 19 kids on there. I think they're going to bring up 6 or 7 from the 8th grade going over to the the varsity level. I think. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, you are right on that, Sam. It's going to be interesting, fun to watch them grow as they come back. They're still off of that 8-man hiatus that we talked about before, and that's a tough one to come back on. And they're doing a great job at getting it back established.
And we see another team actually going down that route next year, as becoming part of the YSN family. We're becoming much more acquainted with teams in that area, as Sebring McKinley, who is the one of 2 wins that St. John got this year, is going to 8-man football last year. And I speak from a place of, I guess, worry, because I saw what it did to a program that's near and dear to my heart in St. John.
Right. Yeah.
It's almost a kiss of death, but you hope not. That's it. Numbers is always going to be a problem in Division 6 and 7.
Yeah, always. Yeah. I mean, if I recall, Division 7 is 100 boys or less are eligible to play football, basically.
Yeah, and St. John is the second smallest school in the state of Ohio
to field a football team.
Yeah, so for them, to get guys out there like they did this year, Coach Delgosh and the boys, they're really getting it done. You got to build a program up in steps, especially when you have 300 kids that are K through 12.
Yes. You're not kidding. I mean? Yeah. So, they're coming, it's just going to take some time.
And that's why so much time and efforts have to be placed into that youth level, whether you're talking Freeway League, whether you're talking junior high. I think junior high is the one that is more directly affected to it. Mm-hmm. I think if you look behind every successful program in high school football is an established junior high. And behind every state champion in Ohio, I believe is a freshman team too.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, depending on the level, Division 7, sometimes it's hard to field the freshman team, but it's, from the bottom up is really, just how far bottom you got to go. Just depends on, the program. But, St. John's got a lot of upside coming to them, and I'm very excited, for the next couple of years to see where they take that program to.
You're talking about starting point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And with these guys, we talked about the youth on that team. You've got 9 out of the, actually it's more than that. It was like 13 out of the 22 starters were freshmen and sophomores.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's a lot of youth on there. And, St. John running with 13 seniors in 2 years, or 3 years from now.
I mean, Tom Miller is the only upperclassman on the line.
Right.
All the rest of those guys were playing middle school football last year.
Yeah. Milo Twining, Calvin Crawford. They're all young guys.
I mean, the size is there. the teaching is going. You know, it's
Or
a slow
Donald
process.
Crawford, sorry.
Yeah,
said his dad.
it's a process, but they are definitely building for it. You know, and we've seen a lot of schools in this area take that on.
Right.
You know, there's ebbs and flows out here. You know, up and down. Everybody's got peaks and valleys, and you know, the coaches out here. I think there's a lot of great leadership right now in Ashtabula trying to get this thing built up.
Across the board, yep.
You know, why don't we go to a word from our sponsors?
I was going to say, we're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned with us, though. We're going to go over, we got some record keeping to, I guess, get put back together here, go over some week 11 scores and a few of our sponsors. So stay tuned. We'll see you guys here in about 2 minutes. 440 and Gold welcomes in Play All Awards and Engraving. Awards, they do them all at Play All. Play All offers a full line of acrylics, desk accessories, plaques, sports awards, and more. A staple of Ashtabula County, Play All has been in service since 1993, helping the likes of educators, coaches, and individuals just like you. You can visit Play All at 4542 Main Avenue in beautiful downtown Ashtabula, Ohio, or call them at 440-992-7529 with any questions.
440 and Goal welcomes in-combine sponsor from Allstate Kristen Dobbins-Beck-Barger. Kristen and her team offer auto, home, renters, and various other insurance policies. Visit Kristen at 4605 Main Avenue in beautiful Ashtabula, Ohio, or contact Kristen at 440-993-0256.
All right, welcome back.
Yeah, and as we come back from this commercial break, we want to welcome in a very special guest returning, making his second appearance onto the show. You guys know him as Matthew Hatchett. Matt, how is it going?
Fly, Falcons, fly. It's going
I love it. I love it.
How you guys doing today?
Oh, it's a wonderful night. You know, 6 teams from Ashtabula County go to the playoffs last week, and you know, we drop it down from 6 to 2. As the Jefferson Falcons and the Geneva Eagles both coming up with big wins. But let's talk about these Falcons.
Again, unfortunately, obviously, I wasn't there, but you know, again, I think it's a great time for the school, for the community itself, to kind of all around these kids and understand this is a one-time chance. You know, it's not easy to go for state run every single year. So hopefully this can be the year, and hopefully everybody rallies around them and goes out to the game tomorrow, supports them, they go get another win.
Yeah, as they're going against, this one is a little bit different, as their first round opponent was against Poland, which was a team that they were the underdog during the regular season and beat them. This opponent is Girard, who they actually lost by 14. You know, in your opinion, which one's harder to prepare for, the team that you lost to or the team you beat?
The team you lost to is definitely easier to prepare. It's always hard to beat a team twice in one season, NFL, college, high school as well, because if you win, you're like, I don't know what to change. Should we do everything the same? I don't, you know, but this didn't work. But when you lose, you're like, okay, we're going to change everything, you know? So, and then the other team is confused because, again, they don't know what to do. So I think that the advantage is definitely to the team who loses when you have a rematch during the same season. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, you played obviously quarterback for the Jefferson Falcons, and you know, they have a phenomenal one in Grant Hitchcock coming in this year, and this is a kid, you know, he's a thousand guy, but Girard also has one of those. So you know, what are those? When you were playing, as you were the guy, are those the games you got more hyped up when you had somebody that they potentially were going to compare you against?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's the competition, the sport itself, regardless of the sport, but it's like the competition itself, should I say. That's what it's about. It's like if there's somebody on the other side or another kid that's ranked, or back in the day, the paper has been talking about this kid, now Twitter or whatever. Like that's when you like, okay, let me show them like I'm the better player, or I'm just as good, or I deserve these offers or whatever that may be. So I think that definitely brings out more in a competitor than it will, again, if somebody's just like, oh, this is just another game, it's the playoffs, let's treat it like the regular season. Like, no, it's not. Like, this is where stars are made, and you can go from all the way from NFL down to Pee Wee football. The big games is where the best players show up. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But when you're going into these big games, especially when you're a leader,
Yeah.
your senior year is arguably your best year ever playing football. We got a kid out there in Grant Hitchcock. This is his senior year. This is the coup de grace for this kid. How do you separate? Making sure you're staying on task and trying to keep your team in order as well, because guys are going to look to you because you're the most talented guy out there.
Yeah, and again, I think the team camaraderie. I think as a leader, you have to just make sure that nobody's doing anything outside of what they can do. Right? When you're the superstar, if you will, or the team leader, you want to be able to like, okay, guys, I'm going to do everything I can, but you guys just do what you've been doing all year. When a player starts to get outside its box and try to start doing things, well, I'm the receiver, but now let me run the ball, or I'm the tackle, but let me play guard, or whatever those things are. Like I said, if you're going to do extra, that's where you're going to start making mistakes. You got this far in the playoffs because everybody's just doing their jobs. You guys just have to understand, you go out and you do your job, and you let the chips fall where they may. It's like if everybody's going to go out and compete, you're going to work your butt off. You're going to be in the game in the fourth quarter, and then your stars will be able to make a play during that time. But if you go out there in the first half and everybody's just doing their own thing or trying to do too much, you're going to make mistakes. You'll have penalties, you'll have turnovers. And before you know it, then you're down 14, 20 points. And now you're pressing and really just be probably leading the game, at that time instead of being behind.
Yeah, great advice.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Matt, when you were playing, obviously you weren't always in the lead. Obviously everything wasn't going as smoothly as you wanted to.
Yeah.
How did you get yourself grounded in those games where maybe a team comes out and jumps on you?
Again, I think it goes back to your training. The great thing about sport is it's not going to always go your way, but you have to know that going in. So, it kind of takes time to mature in that certain sense. But you can be down 14, you can be down 21 in the first half. Who cares? Like the momentum is like a steering wheel. It's going to turn eventually. So you just got to keep fighting. You got to stay positive. That's why there was a time on the sideline where, people argue and bicker like, okay, what's going on? Like, no, it's okay. Like, right. We just continue to fight. Our time's going to come. It's like a basketball game, right? It comes out and they score 35 points in the first quarter in the NBA. You're like, okay, they're not shoot 15 out of 16 the whole game. They're going to start missing shots eventually. And that's the thing about football. Like, they might come out and the quarterback's 12 for 13 and the running back's hitting every hole. But, again, during the whole game, everything always changes. You just have to be ready and be in that mindset that when it changes, I'm going to be ready to make the play. And of course, you've seen it many of times where a kid gets down on himself, then the chance to make the play in the fourth quarter is mentally not there, and then he makes the mistake. That's why you have to stay in tune. You have to stay calm. And again, the fourth quarter, like I said, be ready, and the play will be there to be made.
I do have one for you. Historically, underdog teams, and we just seen it last weekend when Conneaut took on
Garfield.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the underdog teams will come out with what I'm going to call a gadget play. So we see in the old hook and ladder. Yeah. And they got it, right? They got it. I want to know what your thought is on Jefferson or an underdog team coming out and opening up with the hook and ladder.
Well, I don't want to ruin it, but heck, right. Yeah.
You like that? Yeah. I mean, back to my junior year, that's when I mean, we started it out the same way too. First time Lakeside ever went to playoffs. We started out with a hook and ladder, and sometimes I feel it's a kiss of death. I don't know.
Well, it depends. It depends on the trick play. Again,
Right.
there's safe trick plays. Here's an example for a high school trick play. On a kickoff return where all the kids come in and have this little huddle and everybody just breaks out, and then you don't know where the ball's at. Like, that's a great trick play because it's safe. The ball's really not changing hands, might change hands once. But compared to a kickoff return where the runner runs this way and he throws it back 50 yards across the field, like it's not conservative enough for me. So it depends on the trick play, but I love the aggressiveness and the confidence in your team to say, like, we're going to call it. It might work. It might not work. It's okay if it doesn't work, but that's giving your soldiers an inclination of, this is what we're doing tonight. We're going after these guys. We're not going to sit back and just be super conservative and, just 3 plays and out, punt and play defense and hope we play well. Like, no, the deeper it gets in the playoffs, the more creative you got to get and the more confidence the team will be, I think, when you start making those types of plays.
So you talk about creativity. One of the fun things that I see I'll say a week-to-week basis, if you're watching enough film of these high school teams, is the onside kick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know your opinion when you go through the onside. I've seen it so many times. They get blindsided all of a sudden out of nowhere. Kickoff, they're going for the onside. What's your opinion on doing the onside?
I love it, especially in high school. The percentages are high. And again, there's usually 5, maybe 6 upfront guys, right?
Yep.
And if one of those guys is not the athlete that carries the ball all the time, or a defensive player that doesn't have the ball in his hands all the time, I take my chances of kicking it right to him and thinking he's going to muff the ball, and we pick it up and we go. And the thing about it is, even if you don't get it, it puts them unaware, like, again, back to the confidence and attack mode. Like, hey, these guys are going all out tonight. What else should we look for? But I definitely love the onside kick, especially in high school. And there's one coach out there, I think, who does it an onside kick every single time. And the percentages are high. Like I said, so if you got a good kicker and you got some quick guys to, there's a couple techniques of some onsides I don't want to get into. I don't want to be using it, so I don't know. But yeah, I definitely like that idea, especially when it's a surprise. For the best surprise to me is when you score like 7. If you're up 7-0, or you go up by 7, you're up 4-7. And then you kick the onside. That's when people never expect it, because, like, okay, they just scored and they're winning. They're definitely not going to do it. But just think the consequences is, if you get it back and you go score again and you go 14 points, now you have that other team really scrambling because now they're down 14 points and their offense only touched the ball 1 time.
Yeah, they get kicked back on their heels and they don't really know what to do. And the defense is out there for 2 series, huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know my big butt went out there 2 series in a row. It wasn't no good.
and then just another note, then if you do get the onside, make sure you go no huddle that series.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
You talk about the flow. The flow of a high school game is obviously different. These kids are trying to get used to it, and obviously shape and conditioning and momentum. I think momentum is the biggest deal. When you're playing a football game in high school, which one of these momentum shifts are going to be, I guess, bigger? Is it coming out and scoring easily on the defense, or is it the defense coming out and getting that stop? Which one's gonna matter more in the long run?
Ooh, I think in the long run, it's probably the defense. But I think to be more specific, you really can't answer the question, because you would have to know what all defense you're working with. If you have the best offense in the city and you're scoring 40 points a game and you don't score on the first 3 drives, you're like, it doesn't matter. We're going to eventually get this thing rolling. But the defense, I think, is a little bit more specific, because you can have a great defense and then they kind of get lucky or make a big play and they end up having 14 points in the first quarter. And like, oh, we've been giving up 17 the whole game all year. So it's a little bit more, I guess, mind twisting if you can get up on a good defense. But if you're held down as a good offense, you're like, it doesn't matter. We're going to score. Like we haven't scored yet, but we're going to get some points on the board eventually.
Yeah, we watched this Jefferson team take on Poland. Now, mind you, Jefferson and Poland both are teams that are 35 point, 42 point a game, teams. And as they head into the fourth quarter, 7-6, it's so, you can tell it's a foreign concept to both of these teams. And I've always wondered how the offensive player, a guy like you, a guy who the quarterback, the offensive star, does that start to set in, or are you always in that mentality where I don't care if it's first quarter, fourth quarter, I'm getting the end zone eventually?
Yeah, again, we haven't scored, I don't have the numbers I want, or I'm not being successful as I want on every single play, and it's the fourth quarter. I think that when your mind's like, I'm about to make this big play. I haven't made a big play yet. I'm about to make a big play. I'm about to run 80, or I'm about to throw it for something. Just the natural competitor in me was like, okay, I'm about to make a play, regardless. I don't really care what you call, coach. Somehow, I'm going to make this play and we're going to win this game because we made it all game.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think Jefferson's got an X factor there that a lot of people forget about, and that's their kicker. They have a special teams field goal kicker
that's big in the playoffs.
That can bang from about 35, 40 yards. Unfortunately, the last game that they played against Poland, Gerard, he did miss one. That would have had a 9-21, maybe ending at that point. But the one game Jefferson did play, who did they play where he hit 3? He accounted for 9 of their points. They played Hubbard, another it would be a NE8 rival there, and he accounted for 9 points. If you could speak on, the value of a kicker that can actually, get it through the upright for you, even though you're at 4th and 10 from the 30.
Yeah, and we lost 21-9 the first time to them.
Yeah, yes,
to Gerard.
We missed one field goal.
No, we lost 21-6.
21-6. It would have been 9.
Yes.
Yeah. Kickers are huge, especially playoffs, especially early. Again, you get down there, depending on the offense, depending on how the game is really flowing, but it's really, you always take points in the playoffs, right? It's like, okay, if you can get up 3-0, that's better than being, down. And again, it's a momentum thing. Then on the other side of the coin, you have field goals beget field goals where, okay, now we're just going to kick it because every time we get down there, we can't score. But again, playoff, it's just every single game is such as its own beast. So it's really hard to tell, but I would definitely lean on special teams more in the playoffs than I would any other time. Absolutely.
And that's a position that, once you get to week 11, week 12, these are the little things that, maybe week 1 you could get away with, but now week 12, you got to make sure that these are all set up right.
Right. Like I said, week 3, it's 4th and 7 on your 25. You're like, I'm going to do it. But in, I said, playoff pairing, I'm going to definitely kick a field goal and say, get points, and then go to the onside.
Yep.
Yeah, we've seen it all year this year. Special teams is the most underrated portion of football, has been. It rears its ugly head in every single game, whether it's missing an extra point or we have the teams out here that don't even try to kick it, get 2-point conversions after 3 possessions. That's an extra touchdown. Yeah. So special teams, it just plays such a huge part, particularly here.
Yeah, and again, the 2-point conversion can be a weapon, of course, on the high school level. But more importantly, again, if you have 5 or 6 2-point plays, then I would be doing 2-point plays all the time. But a lot of times people are not that creative because you can't have a lot of different 2-point plays. It's just hard to get all those moving pieces, on that play. But I like to keep in my bag. Like I said, a 2-point probably, if I were to call, it's going to be a play you've never seen before, because that you're saving it for the special occasion. So I wouldn't have 5 or 6 2-point plays because it's when I need it, it has to work. So I'm going to take that 1 point all the time. And again, it depends on your defense as well. I have a defense that's going to be stout, and I'm really not worried about them going up and down. You only really stop them on that one time, 2-point play, because other times, like I said, if they get it, so what? They're still at 14 or at 22 at the most, but they're not going to be at 24 after 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and it does. It comes back. We've seen it 100 times. But last week you put some good juju on the Falcons. You put it out there, and I think they're looking for some more this week. I know we couldn't keep you very long this week, so we're honestly have gratitude to you for all the time you're giving us. But I'm gonna ask you the tough one. What's going to happen this week when the Falcons take on the Girard Indians?
You know what? Again, as I know how kids think, right? That little doubt in their mind saying that they beat us before, so they can beat us again, right? But it's hard to do. It's very hard to do. So I think we'll have success early. We'll get confident saying, yeah, we can beat this team, and we will beat this team. And I'm going to win again. We're going to go deeper in the playoffs. That's how I see it. So fly, Falcons, fly. That's how I see it.
Listen, it can't get any better than that. Fly, Falcons, fly. And Matt, hopefully, if they win this week, hopefully we can get you back on here again next week and make this a thing all the way to week 16, baby.
If they come back, I'm coming back. Absolutely.
Heck yeah. Hey, sign them up. Just sign them up now.
Sign me up, baby. Let's go.
That's right, baby. The hatch catch going all the way, baby.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, buddy. Let's go, man. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks again for joining us tonight, man. I can't wait because you know what? I think it's gonna be on next Thursday. I think it's gonna be on.
There we go. Put it in the news. I'll see you guys next Thursday. Let's go get that dub.
Fly, Falcons, fly, baby.
There it is.
Thanks, Matt. Good to talk
to you.
All right,
fellas. Enjoy. Peace.
Yeah. All right. That was none other than Matthew Hatchett.
I mean, if you're going to have somebody sign off on your playoff win, it's got to be the premier Falcon, baby. Matt Hatchett goes out. We had him on last week, like we showed all of his accolades. This is a guy who understands football at a very, very deep level. We're going to be showing some updated records. You're going to see his name right on there. This guy is Ashtabula royalty. He knows what football is. As we talk to him about the differences, and as he pointed out some of the things that matter directly in high school football. Those momentum swings and grabbing that the confidence, really.
Right. One of my favorite things, especially with talking to him, he's an outsider, right? So I mean, he does have obviously a bias to the Falcons, but he also has a bias to just high school football in general. He has a good understanding of what it's like to play at that level, at a high level, that players like Grant Hitchcock and Luke Smith out there in Geneva and everybody else playing, going into the second round here, and everyone that got to go into that first round. And he's a lot of fun to talk to, very entertaining, and it's exciting to hear his perspective because he's been through the mud, is what I'm going to call it. He's been through the mud. He's done a lot of things to get to the position that he's at in his life. So Falcons, do your thing, man.
While we're talking about last week, why don't we put up the results from last week?
Great idea.
Because as the Jefferson Falcons were successful, so was another team out here that we really did. They deserve a big shout out because we'll talk about them. Obviously, they're last on the list. We're going to talk about that game. That game was incredible.
And as you can see by the numbers, it was a barn burner.
It was incredible. But Lakeside, the shorthanded Lakeside Dragons go out and Riverside, they're going to improve to 10-1, and I'm not sure that Riverside is going to lose this week, next week, or maybe even in the week following.
After,
they are tough. They are for real. Keep in mind, this is a team that is one missed field goal away from being 11-0.
Yeah, I think lost to Menor, wasn't it? Yeah,
Menor.
6-7. Yep.
Yeah, they are the real deal. Holyfield. And then we go on to Edgewood taking on Struthers. That was available right here on YSN Live. And keep in mind, as playoffs happen this week, YSN Live is going to be your spot for playoff coverage.
Yeah.
OHSAA charges everybody who covers it. So there is going to be a charge because you have to eat that cost. But if you go on there, you pay your $10, you're going to get to watch every single game that is covered on YSM, which is going to be a ton. I know this week, me and Ryan are going to be heading over to Kirtland.
First time in Lake County that I know of.
Yeah,
right?
So we're going to go check out this monster that is Kirtland as they take on United. That's going to be right here on YSN Live on Friday. Edgewood goes out there 14-49, and Struthers, I'm telling you what, Struthers had such a rough start to the year. And they're like the people that, man, once they figured out what they could really do, there's no turning back.
It's almost like, you hear about in baseball, in baseball, you hear about a team in like a slump, month, 1 month slump, 2 month slump,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they kick it on at the perfect time.
Yeah.
And that's what Struthers, they came in, they got beat by Jefferson and beat by Geneva. And then shortly thereafter that, I don't know.
Well, no, they
turned
beat
on.
Jefferson.
Or they beat Jefferson.
They beat
I'm sorry.
Jefferson, but
Yeah.
Geneva went down there
Right.
and beat the tongue out of them.
Yes, but shortly after that, they just turned it on, and I'm going to call them the dark horse. I mean,
I think you are right, and I'm going to tell you, I think there's one game, there's one point, and it's not even a game that they won. I think that the thought in Struthers changed when they played South Range to that tough. It was like a 1 point loss.
Yes, yeah,
And,
you're right.
And South Range is the real deal, and I think that's when Struthers turned it on. And now Struthers, look out. Guess what? I think they meet South Range this week.
Yep, it's going to be a fun game to catch over off of ysnlive.com. We'll be watching that too, at least a rerun probably afterwards and after the scoring. But that was Struthers is a team. Just look out for them. Put the star next to them. You got to watch. You got to listen. You got to pay attention.
They're big.
Yep.
They're fast.
Physical.
They're strong.
Mm-hmm.
They're bruisers. Listen, the Struthers guys think I hate them. They really do. They think like I'm like the Struthers villain down there. Because I'm never picking against Jefferson when it comes to those guys. Right. But
let's be honest. Struthers could play anyone. I should be like, we ain't picking them.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But when it comes to the reality of the situation, Struthers is a phenomenal. Always has been. That's a football culture down there.
Yeah.
So look for them. I mean, they've got a tough one this week because I'll be honest with you. I don't know that I would pick Ohio State over South Range. South Range is different.
Listen,
those guys
that's a stretch.
Listen,
come
they
on.
are different, Ryan. They are different, man.
I know they are.
If you have not seen South Range, you better get ready. Those guys that's a bad bunch of guys out there.
Oh, good night. All right, going into the game that we covered, that's going to be Conneaut taking on Garfield.
They are not 0-5.
Nope, aren't. But that is what it is.
That's supposed to be 6.
Yeah,
6-5.
So Geneva. Conneaut ran into a little bit of a brick wall. It was a very exciting game the first 2 quarters there. I talked about it earlier. The hook and ladder that Conneaut pulled off, that was a lot of fun. Zach Rice did chew him up in the first quarter too. But Garfield, another tough, strong, physical squad, and they came out and they got the W against Conneaut.
So Garfield comes out, and slow, I think is how I would describe it. They were a little bit slow, having trouble kind of catching up to Conneaut. And shout out to Coach Dobrin. Rocco goes out there, and they're really getting it done early in the game. They come out, and it wasn't necessarily. Oh, I'm sorry. It's West Branch versus Struthers.
Yeah, still another. I mean,
it's Garfield. It's Garfield who's taking on South Range.
Is it? Yeah. Thank you, Jay Uhas. Thank you. Yep. Sorry.
But so Garfield comes out there. They're slow to start. But I saw something early in that game, and that was they run this wing T, but they've got the biggest running backs that you've ever. Yeah. They run a wing T, and it looks like they've got 3 fullbacks back there.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
You're talking Geneva terminology. They had 3 Charlie Taylors in the backfield. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but these guys were out there getting it done and running quickly. And unfortunately, Conneaut, just as much as they were trying, could not get enough coverage on these guys because they had running backs that were blowing open holes for the guy who had the ball.
Yeah.
But Conneaut goes out there. They score on the first drive. Zach Rice gets it done. They get a quick defensive stop. They run a hook and ladder, and then Garfield starts coming. Yeah. And when Garfield started scoring, they didn't stop. They continued all the way into the fourth quarter. Conneaut able to get another touchdown late in the game. But Garfield is going to be South Range is going to beat them. But Garfield is going to be a tough test for them because they're big, strong guys. And when they run that type of offense, that wing T offense, you can never count a wing T team out because if they get a lead on you, they can just kill the clock.
Yeah.
And you're playing catch up for the rest of the game.
Yeah. And LeBron says it best, playoff sweat's different sweat. So,
as we get ready to talk about our wing T team up here who scored 49.
Right. Yeah. But, good luck to Garfield. That was a fun game to watch. And, moving into the next one.
Yeah, buddy.
2 nail biters here, and proud representatives over here by
Yes,
Fourth
sir.
and Goal to talk about the Jefferson, but Jefferson defeats Poland 14-13, and man, we were watching it because they were still playing at the end of the Conneaut game. That game was over, and Sam and I were staring at his phone.
Listen, I'm gonna send my medical bills to Coach Hannah and Montenero and Losi because these guys had my blood pressure going.
Yeah,
whoop,
yep.
whoop,
Yeah, it was
I mean,
too,
it
boy.
was a legitimate. These guys, you want to talk about guys that were really fighting it out the entire game. So we've got our game going. Our game gets done earlier than theirs. We're watching it at the very end, and it's 2 teams that refuse to lose, separated by 1 point.
Yep.
And I mean, it's
back to the principles of why special teams is so important.
It honest to God is the biggest part of high school sports.
So I didn't get to rewatch that game at all yet, but I'm assuming either a missed field goal or a blocked field goal.
Extra point.
Or, I'm sorry, extra point. Yeah, it happened in that game. And that was the defining moment of the entire game.
Yeah,
the
but
entire game.
You have this back and forth
Yep.
going on. Jefferson is hosting their first playoff game ever as a school, and the community showed up, and it's loud and it's great and everybody's into it. But Poland is certified out here. Poland has their frequent flyer card when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right. Jefferson is just now getting their ticket stamped.
Yeah,
they're
right.
brand new to the game when it comes to that. But you would never know it because those guys were out there and they were composed. And this was a team that they had beat. And I worried this game worried me more than any other playoff game because as we talked about when Matt was on here, and I'm sorry, it was a blocked extra point.
Thanks, Coach.
So that's even bigger. That's an even bigger play.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing to do is beat a team twice.
Yes. Yep.
Because
and Hatchet,
everything you did beat them.
Yep.
How do you improve on already winning? You know what I mean? But Jefferson figured it out. And I think Coach Hannah will tell you that Poland came, they were a different team.
Yep.
That was a different team than they played. You know what I mean?
was.
As well as it should be.
Change your scheme up, whatever it may have been, when it's indicative of the score, 14-13. The previous game, I do believe, was 25-13.
Yes.
Right? So, you can obviously tell one of the things that they improved on was their defense.
Yes.
They held them, to a little bit less, but that's also special teams. So by, the kicker out of Jefferson,
Jensen, number 6 in the state.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that can't be said about special teams, especially when you get into playoffs, man.
It's
it's amazing.
Your team has to be good from the top to bottom. You can't. There's not one side of football, and special teams is a side.
Yeah, no, it is.
Football ain't two-sided. It's a 3-side sport.
Right.
All right, it's a triangle.
Yeah, offense, defense, and special teams, man.
If your special teams is lacking, it will always come back and get you. But in the end of the game, these guys got it done, and the elation that you see on these teams when that clock finally went to 0.
Yes.
And the most dangerous team is a team that believes in themselves.
Well, the last time they were in the playoffs was 99 or
Jefferson.
Yeah,
in that area.
Yeah, so that area 99. I don't know. Did they win that?
No.
So they punched 2 tickets. Not only were they in the
first
playoffs,
time, and they're going through.
And now we're going to the second round, right? That's
the most dangerous team is the team that believes in themselves.
Yep.
And if Jefferson isn't believing in themselves, then they're never going to.
Right.
Because you guys went out and played the best season of football in history, really.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Playoff wise, and you beat a team that plays in that week every single year.
Yes.
Got it done.
Yep.
At home, and now you're gonna get a chance at redemption.
Yep. So now the question is, now, this week coming up, Jefferson takes on Girard.
Yep.
Who they lost to, right?
Yes, they did.
So now, what's Coach Hannah gonna do to change his scheme to recover from that loss? We're gonna find out. That's for sure.
Jefferson has to contain the quarterback.
Yep.
They got a kid out there who can really let me reel that back. Jefferson has to contain the quarterbacks.
Yep.
Backs.
Right.
Because it's numerous. They got 2 guys that can hurt you. They got a guy who can throw it from here to Ashtabula Rubber.
Right.
And they got
the quarterback on Girard over there's got almost 1,400 yards passing on the season.
And they got a guy that
600
has never
rushing.
lost a race in his life.
Right.
So Jefferson's going to have to contain the quarterback.
Yep.
They're going to have to keep the deep ball under control. And their offense is going to have to do what Jefferson does.
Yep.
Grant Hitchcock is going to have to be Grant Hitchcock.
So I don't think I think Grant Hitchcock and the Jefferson offense being them, I think will be good enough for offense. It's really going to be what do they do on defense to stop them, like you just said. But one thing I noticed about them, they like an empty set. I watched it quite a few times, and I know you said the deep ball, but I've watched it, and a couple times I seen that screenplay. Got to watch that screenplay. That's another big one.
So I'll tell you what, Wade Woodworth has been one of the best defensive players I've ever seen.
Yep.
This year. In every side of the ball. He's a linebacker, though.
Tackles, proofs in the pudding.
He's a linebacker, though.
Yep.
Look for him to be in pass coverage most of this game.
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to have to cover because he's got the athletic ability to do it. Preston Reams is the one I want everybody to pay attention to.
Okay.
Preston Reams is a defensive lineman for the Falcons that their defense is going to need. He's going to have Grant stepped up more than once. Trent has stepped up. Trent Hodge. Woodworth has stepped up.
Who's the X factor?
This game, Reams.
Yep.
You got to step up. This is going to have Mason Pulowski has played as good as any lineman has played in this county all year.
Yep.
This game on Friday, Preston Reams has been knocking on the door of becoming a name out here, of becoming the defensive, the X factor on defense. He's going to have to get it done. It's going to be on him because the linebackers are going to be in coverage. They're going to be getting passed at. They're going to be getting screened at. It's the defensive linemen are going to have to get in the backfield and take these two very, very talented quarterbacks from Girard and make them uncomfortable because uncomfortable quarterbacks make bad decisions.
Correct. That is correct. Yeah, and like I said, they like that empty set, and it typically every time I've seen it, it's just a QB draw. And one thing that quarterback from Girard is really good at, and it's being patient. He's patient. He's waiting for the hole to open up, the lane to open up, waiting for his blockers to get downfield, and he does a great job at it. So that's one thing you got to account for as a Falcon. They run that 3-3-5 defense out there. Is Hannah going to make an adjustment? Maybe they come out in a 4-4. I don't know. I don't think so.
Quarterback read is one of the most difficult plays to defend in high school football.
There's it's the direction's up to the quarterback. It's not, it's not a sweep right, sweep left. It's not a handoff.
Who is smarter, the quarterback, the linebacker, the defensive end? One of those guys has to. All it takes is one to make a mistake.
Yes. Yeah. And like as Jay says here, Coach Hannah will have something up his sleeve, and I think he's right. I think he's gonna, Hannah knows how to watch film with the best of them, so I'm sure he's gonna make his adjustments and get it rolling.
I'll tell you what, I think Girard realizes we got away with one.
Yeah,
we got away with one on him early, week 4. We got away with one. Jefferson is a good team. We can't go. This ain't no walkthrough, baby.
Nope, not at all.
They are going to have to up their game plan. And Jefferson has the gift, I guess, of we get to push everything at you.
Yep. You're getting, the whole playbook. It's coming.
Yeah.
Be ready.
It's hard to make changes when you win.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard when you lost. And Jefferson's coming in off a loss that was close game. It was a close game for them.
Yep.
And it's going to be an interesting game. I really cannot wait if you can't tell by the excitement when I talk about
it. All right, moving into the next one. PV. I know they lost 16, but I don't know how much they lost by.
Yeah, it got deleted. It was 48.
48, yeah. So 16-48 PV is going to lose. That will end their season. Another tough season though not another tough season. A tough season for PV. Younger squad.
Brookfield was a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
Brookfield was a buzzsaw.
Yes, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Brookfield beat Garfield.
Right.
They are nasty. Those boys are gritty. They are strong. Brookfield is going to give people fits in the playoffs. It's a team that is big, strong. They are going to go out there, get the job done. And you're going to have a headache when you go against them.
Yep.
I pity anybody who's going to have to play them from here out.
Yep.
I think PV knew that it was, when we talked about
uphill battle.
Yeah. When we talked to Coach Croston, the PV boys are going to have to go out there and play a game and play the best game that they had all year. And even then it was going to be tough. And that's what happened. But let's go and talk about what I'm going to call the surprise of the night.
Yeah. Geneva defeating Gilmore Academy.
And don't get it wrong.
Right.
They weren't so far apart. This was an 8-9 matchup.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Gilmore was 8. Geneva is 9. And Geneva is a quality team.
Yep.
With good players. 49 points is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a lot of points.
Geneva was in their bag on that game. I want to point out the fact their last score came by a passing touchdown.
Well, the score before half, so they scored right before halftime. Kenny Young, I think it was about a 60-yard bomb, caught it about the 11-yard line, calls a timeout, and then they punch it in. And that's when the game, I do believe, was 34-20. I'm sure Coach Pete will correct me here shortly.
Listen, here's what I do know. It was 26-6 after the first quarter.
Yes.
And what is the one thing we've said about Geneva consistently all year?
Tough. They can't play from behind.
They can't play from behind. If Geneva if Geneva comes out and they jump on you, you're never going to catch up. But if you get way out ahead of them, then they don't have enough time in that offense to catch up. And then Don Shimsky and Coach Pete said, "Shut up, idiots. We do what we want."
Right. You're wrong yet again. Congratulations.
They turn into Bruno Mars and say, "Don't believe me, just watch."
34-20. Thanks, Coach Pete. 34-20 on a 25-yard touchdown pass. Well, I think it was 11 seconds left going into the second quarter. So they closed the gap. They brought it down to 14 points, going into half. And I'm sure Pete and the gang and the head coach, but I feel like Coach Corlew was out there giving him a rah-rah speech. Did he do anything like that?
Listen,
Pete?
If Coach Corlew talked about practice during the week being like a house, I know why y'all
come on now. That's all it took. The house got built. Ain't nobody letting that thing crumble. Not with Corlew there.
No, but they get down and this game comes all the way down to the nitty-gritty because Gilmore Academy has the ball at the end of the game. And this is a Geneva team that consistently, more than any team out here this year, more than
there's cell phones, Coach. There's cell phone. You put him on speakerphone next time.
They have been, I guess, underrated and overlooked throughout the entire year.
All year long.
Springfield, they weren't supposed to beat them.
Nope.
They weren't supposed to beat Struthers.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I believe I had you guys about 5-5.
Listen,
I'm not going to sit here, you prove me wrong, and that's what I appreciate it.
The doubt came in with Madison.
Yep.
Because Madison goes out there, and Madison is playing blue streak Madison ball.
They pulled that blue carpet right out from underneath.
Figured out how to beat. And I'm telling you right now, if Madison played Geneva, today, yesterday, or last week, Geneva would smoke them.
Yeah, not a question.
Like bad.
Right.
Geneva's another one. These kids have realized how good that they really are. And, you got boys like Hazler on the line that are out there dominating cats. I mean, the offensive line, make no mistakes about it. Kenny Young is a talented quarterback. Cool Hand Luke is a dog. Bryce Pete is a beast. Wilson is a monster.
Love where you're going. Keep that train rolling, baby.
Barbo is a monster. Deemer gets the job done. But the Hogs up front are giving Geneva the upper hand in these games that they shouldn't be in. And we say they shouldn't be in because they are not the favorite. They were a dog for Gilmore because Gilmore Academy, when you looked at them on paper, they were faster, they put up more points, and their defense should have been good enough to stop Geneva. Geneva said, "We don't care about none of that."
Nope. And the other part too, Geneva, they played Geneva football. They didn't change anything crazy. I mean, I'm sure there was a little bit of a different scheme. Maybe they moved a guy here to there, whatever. But they still went out and just played Geneva football. What transitioned, though, was that third and fourth quarter defense. So Gilmore's up 34-20.
Turnovers, too.
Right, yes.
And turnovers.
Yep, but that defense, they only allowed another, 14 points, I think, if I'm adding math correctly there. I don't know. Yeah. 14 points over 2 quarters. You know what I mean? There's, that was the difference. The Geneva defense came out, locked them down, limited their points, and once they limited their points, they allowed them to get the ball back, as like you said, with turnovers. And then Geneva just came down, and that is a huge deficit. That means in the third and fourth quarter, Geneva scored 29 points.
Which is, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
Geneva on
the moment
29-0 for Geneva, right? 29 points in a game for Geneva is a lot of points because of the way they play football.
The moment you think you know the wing T, you don't.
You don't. Not a clue.
You don't.
Yep.
The wing T, by the numbers, if you're down by 21 points, the wing T on each possession should take you 2 to 3 minutes.
Yep.
And that's if your offense is cooking.
Right. clicking. All everyone's firing on the same.
So that
cylinders.
means
Yep.
you got to get the ball, stop them. Get the ball, stop them. There's no room for error.
Right.
And they prove all that wrong. They prove all that wrong. And passing the ball and passing the ball as well, which is a huge portion.
Yeah, they got into the passing, as Coach Pete is saying there in the comments. 5-yard pass to Smith for a touchdown, and the extra point for the win. So yeah, but it's just, again, a 5-yard pass from Geneva. That's not uncommon. You know what I mean?
They can get it done. It's how quickly it happens.
Yeah, right.
And it's never been a factor. It's never been a worry of can they cover the yards. It's do they have the time?
Yep.
And the time did not matter. It was like they were playing without a clock.
Yes.
And turnovers, one of the things we talked about early on with Geneva is how do you attack Geneva? Go in the air and try and throw on them. And what they did was they spit on that take and said, we're going to lead the county in takeaways.
Right.
So if you want to go out and throw the ball against us,
go ahead.
Will Mook is going to take it away from you, or Gio Rice,
right.
or pick your poison. Somebody's going to pull the ball out of the air.
Yep.
So, all right, now we can't pass on Geneva anymore. So now what we're going to do, we're going to try and run the ball on Geneva. Well, then they've got guys like Bryce Pete and Matt Wright who says, not so fast, try it in the air again.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? That's just, it's been a great year for the Geneva Eagles. And I'm going to be interested. Now, they have a monster this week.
Yes. Yeah. Chardon.
Yeah. Chardon is I don't know
it's
how
a tough
else to
one.
say it.
But listen, I'm not going into Gilmore. I didn't think you guys were going to win. I don't know how else to put it. But I like the doubt. I'm wrong. I like being wrong because that means y'all won. So, I do have the doubt. I think Chardon's a tough squad, but Geneva, they've proved us wrong 3 or 4 times this year.
I just want to put out there, I did pick Geneva to win. I did pick them to win, but I didn't pick them to win with 49 points. I picked them to win like 17-13.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought this was going to be a game of field goals and punts. All right. Not 40, not 100 points in the game. Yeah. I didn't think Geneva was going to score 100 points in the playoffs.
That might be a division, whatever, 3-4 playoff record for points in a game. I don't know. That's a lot of points. There was a lot of action in that game.
Yeah, and
that was
right
a high-flying game.
And right till the very end, they got it done. It was such a great week of playoff football. And this is what, for everybody who complains about this 16-team playoff, it's too many, it waters it down, it doesn't mean this, it doesn't mean that, you're basically, stretching out games. No, more football is better football.
Yep.
I think the more teams playing in these later weeks, the better. For the programs, and there's no experience like playoff experience.
There's not. You get to play schools that you typically wouldn't play. For the most part, these kids get to play week 11, week 12 now. Before most of the time you were done it. If you were 5-5, 6-4,
you're out.
You're out.
Yeah.
You're out. Whereas now you have an opportunity to come in like Struthers. I know it's not an Ashtabula County squad, but Struthers was 6-4 going into that game. And without the playoff expansion, they might not be allowed to make any kind of noise against anybody.
Garfield wouldn't have made the playoffs either.
Garfield wouldn't have made it either. Yep. And to be honest with you, 8-2 Conneaut might not have made it either.
They would have been struggling to get in there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just, I think it's better. Yeah. I think it's better for football in Ohio. I think it's better. I think you're getting better experience. And I really.
Right there.
15 beat a 2.
Yep. That is the example of why it's great. It is great. The Sweet 16, call it what you want to call it.
Yeah.
But a 15 beating a 2 seed, the whole ball of wax is all melting down and no one knows what's actually going to happen now.
Football more than any game. Right. Football more than any game is a game of matchups.
Yep.
Which is why bowl games are so wildly popular.
Yes.
Because, these guys, maybe they're not playing for a national championship, but watching Navy take on a team that athletically is superior to them, but beat them is intriguing.
Right. It is.
That's what we want to watch. And that's what's going to happen. And the next year, and what you're going to find is these programs are going to get better and better and better. As you've played in the playoffs, hey, guys, we've seen it. Hey, guys, we played against this kid. Hey, we did this. And it's just going to get better. But Geneva, listen, Geneva is going to be a dog. And I mean, Beethoven-sized dog. All right, Saint Bernard-sized dog in this game. But I think Geneva has the facilities, and I think that they've got the kids, and they've got the grit, and they've got the fight to go out there and make Chardon play football.
Yep.
I don't think this is going to be a walkover. I think I don't think it's going to be, I think Geneva is going to need some real luck on their side in this one. Chardon is a next level team.
You got to cross your T's and dot your I's. You can't miss none of it.
There is no room for false starts. There are no room for none of that. You're going to have to play big time football. If you want to beat a big time football team, you got to play big time football. This is going to be the hardest game that they've played this season, and for some of these kids, the hardest game that they've played in their life. For the younger guys, I know the older guys, after they beat Hubbard a couple of years ago, had to meet up Chardon.
Yep.
So not the first time they've had to go top the hill.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So get ready, get out there, and make sure you guys play your game. Never doubt yourself for a second, because those wins you got weren't free, and not everybody made the playoffs this time.
Yeah, it's time. That old line's got to turn into wild hogs, man. You got to do your thing out there.
You guys are going.
Go out
you
there
guys are
do
going.
your
They're
thing.
going to try and juice you.
Yeah.
So make them work. Make sure that no matter win, lose, or draw, when Chardon wakes up in the morning, they're sore.
Yes. Yeah. One way or another. Yeah. They'll remember Geneva. That's what you're right. Good point. Listen, we can keep going on about that.
Yeah.
But let's get into. I'm going to bring up the one all-time leader here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bring
So
it
we
up
want
real
to send
quick.
a huge shout out to the new all-time leader in single season touchdown passes.
Yep.
And that is Edgewood Warriors touchdown Tony Hall, hitting 20 of those things this year.
Yeah.
And here's what I think to me is the most impressive portion of this stat. Edgewood has had some quarterbacks.
Yes. Obviously.
They have had some quarterbacks. They have the all-time leading leading passer in county history in Zach Winchell. Before him, they've got guys like Alex Wisnai. They've got, names upon names upon names. Edgewood was passing the ball before it was cool.
Right.
Okay. Edgewood has been a team that has passed the ball since Irochi was the coach, and even before then. So for Tony to come out there this year, and how about a hand for Edgewood, honestly?
Yeah.
This is another team. We talked about Geneva has been overlooked the entire year. Nobody paid attention to Edgewood.
Nope.
And for Edgewood to go out there and go 6-4, get themselves a playoff win. And they hit a really good team in Struthers, but they really overachieved.
Steps, man.
And this kid right here had to step into a weird situation last year, gets the job done, came in this year and took the offense by its neck and said, "This is mine."
Yeah, and he grew over the season like I've never seen a quarterback grow in my life. The first game that we covered this year was Edgewood against Conneaut.
Yes, and
he was throwing rockets 2 yards away. I mean, it was like my 8-year-old, and don't take it wrong, Tony, but I watched the game, and my 8-year-old, that's what he does to me because he thinks it's
as
funny.
hard as you can.
As hard as you could. But by week, so I'm complimenting you, Tony, if you're watching, or any of the family members, but by week 8, when we covered him again, he figured out the touch. He figured out how to get it where it needed to be.
He was making quarterback throws. He was making quarterback throws.
Transition.
And when he started making, when he stopped trying to catch the runner stealing second, because this kid's a
catcher, right?
You know what I mean? When he wasn't trying to throw the ball to center field, he got the touch. And then Cunningham starts stepping up. Anthony Hunt starts stepping up with 25 receptions this year.
600 yards over 4 games or something like that.
It's second in receiving in the county.
Yeah, I mean,
800 yards or no,
I'm
700
saying,
yards.
But out of those 700, he had like 600 over the last 4 games.
I mean, he stepped up in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
Jacob Ernst steps up.
Yep.
The weapons that Edgewood had this year just began to grow, and all of that is a direct result of Tony Hall taking a hold of this offense, grabbing a hold, and getting confidence in his game. More so, I think what was more impressive for
it was a tough one, but
it was. I think what was more impressive to me this year, more than him even throwing the ball this year, was his presence in the pocket.
Yeah.
Last year, as a newer quarterback, he got a little bit of what I call
Yep, Happy Feet.
Yeah, the pitter patter.
Yeah, the pitter patter.
This year is a kid who's he was in the the box, confident, able to move forward and keep the play going, believing in his legs, believing in what he could do as a quarterback. And because I think he's a big part of the Edgewood Warriors having a 6-win season.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He did a great job there, taking the reins and doing his thing. That was he's a large portion. I'll never give anyone direct credit for a 6-4 season, but he's a large portion that he he grew. He just grew, and that was the reason why. One of the main reasons why Edgewood went 6-4 this year instead of
by the way
3-7 or 4-6.
By the way, defensive coordinators, the kid's a junior,
yep.
which means he's coming back for his that senior performance. And my God, I can't wait.
CVC Lake Division.
Oh boy, it's gonna be a fun year there. But we got some new names to add to the all-time list.
Let's see.
Here we go. You're gonna have to make that way bigger.
Yep, I'm gonna try to. There you go. Hopefully you can read it now.
All right, so we're gonna start off with the receivers. So adding their names to the list this year, number 9 all time in receiving in a season is going to be Grand Valley's Bobby Rogers with his 819. Christian Cunningham going to be the new number 13 with 741. St. John's Matt Miller at number 22 with 621. Trent Hodge, who has been as steady as they come his entire career, 552. Jimmy Timonier out there with 406 in an offense that really had to call an audible midway through the year.
Week 4. Yep.
They had to go from we're going to run the ball the entire time to let's see what DeSalvatore and Jimmy can do.
12 to 15 passes a game and get it rolling. Hopefully,
and then Will Anderson, the sophomore over at St. John with 400 yards this year. Those 819 yards are going to come by way of 56 receptions for Bobby Rogers. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a long way off of Don Lagoni, but that's still a lot of receptions. I've just seen that number. I can't help myself. That is 108.
I am old enough to remember Donnie Lagoni.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that we're ever going to get a receiver like him. That dude could catch anything you threw at him.
Yeah.
If I threw a ball to him right now, he'd catch it. He would. I'm talking, and his hands are the size of baseball mitts.
Are they?
So
okay.
and he had. I want to say, and I could be wrong. I want to say his quarterback was Aaron Cuddy. But that was a St. John team. They were just different. They really got the job done back then. But Robert Rogers, 56. Christian Cunningham, 43 receptions this year. That's going to be good enough for number 18. Number 25 on the list is Trent Hodge now. 28 is going to be Matt Miller. Will Anderson going to be 36. And Anthony Hunt, who had as tough a beginning of the season as any wide receiver in the county, still ends up snagging 25 of them.
Yep. All right, let's see what you got on the next slide. What's this one?
This is touchdowns. So the touchdowns, it's going to be Bobby Rogers' going to be number 3 now with 11. Cunningham had 10. Hodge had 5. Anderson and Timony are both going to get 4 of them this year.
All right. Let me back out of here. Is that it? Do we got more?
Oh, yeah, we got more.
Let's see. Rushing. We're going to rushing.
This one was interesting because this is the one that it's hardest. It's honestly the hardest for kids these days to crack.
Yeah.
Unless they're a Geneva Eagle.
Yeah, right. Yep. All right. So Zach Rice going to finish the season. Well, he is now the all-time rushing leader in Conneaut
history.
That make sure we get that out there. But in county history, he's going to be number 32 for the Spartans with 1,215 of them. Ryan Croston out at PV coming in at number 50, and that is a sophomore, correct?
That's a sophomore
out there, so he's going to get a lot more playing. Well, he got a lot of playing time this year, but he's going to get better as he goes. But Croston coming in with 1,164 at number 50. Grant Hitchcock from Jefferson, 1,157 yards rushing on the season for him. And that's a quarterback. Yeah, there should be a little star next to his name, not for for minimum 900. Just that I'm a quarterback. 8 of the 10 games that he regular season he was a quarterback. But Ty Vickery for PV, 922 yards rushing this year.
Sophomore.
Yep, a lot of rushing yards.
And then PV. My boy,
Cool Hand Luke for Geneva, 902 yards himself. So he's going to be number 82 on the list out there for the Geneva Eagles.
His numbers this year are arguably the most impressive in that his yards per carry are far and away the biggest.
Yes.
And everybody touches the ball out there.
Yes.
Everybody touches the ball in Geneva, and this kid manages to get 900 yards, which
Himself.
means 9 yards. Every time he touched the ball, it was worth 9 yards. I mean, this kid he's a monster.
Yep.
That's all there's to it. Cool Hand Luke is a force, y'all.
Yep. All right, rushing yards. This is minimum 2,900 yards. So for their career, so through years 2019 to 2022, Zach Rice will finish his senior year off with 3,463 career yards, coming in at number 7 on the career list there. Ja'Shawn Sanders, unfortunately, only played through 3 games this year. So this,
that's the saddest one I think on
Yep.
there for me, because he ends up with 3,328 yards. This kid very easily could have been a 4,000 yard guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he had 500 yards through 3 games, folks. I don't know if you guys realize the talent that Ja'Shawn Sanders truly had.
Yeah. But Ja'Shawn Sanders is going to come in at number 11 through the years of 2019 to 2022 with 3,328 yards. And I don't know what is there.
Those
Sam?
are touchdowns.
Touchdowns. All right. So Grant Hitchcock, career touchdowns?
Yep.
Okay.
No. Season.
Or season touchdowns. Sorry about that. Going to be number 43 on that list for 12 touchdowns in a season. Luke Coolhand Smith.
Luke Smith.
That's why I just got to say his name and not trying to be that way. But Geneva's Luke Smith with 12 touchdowns on the season, and Conneaut's Max Gleason with 11.
Yeah, and then Zach Rice also had 16 this year, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, and now we're going to move on over to the quarterbacks, and the quarterbacks of this generation really every year, if you look at the amount of kids in the last 5 or 6 years, it's very evident when the passing changed.
Yes.
But Tony Hall is going to sit right now as 5th all time in a single season record, 1,896 yards for touchdown Tony, one single season. He's a junior, y'all. Right behind him, coming at 26, is going to be Vin Narducci. This is a sophomore who played guard last year. All right. Sophomore played guard last year, threw for 1,259 yards. That's ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
Nate Boyarski, the chef, cooking up 1,225 yards in the air for the Grand Valley Mustangs. Grant Hitchcock this year becomes the all-time leading passer in Jefferson history, passing up his brother.
Yep.
I'm telling you, Thanksgiving at the Hitchcock joint is going to be lit.
Yes. Turkey Bowl is about to get live out front there, baby.
3,468 yards for Hitchcock, and he's also going to be right up there with 27 career touchdowns. Tony Hall, with passing the Edgewood all-time leader with 20 touchdowns this year. Behind him is going to be number 14, Nate Boyarski, with 15. And then Alex DeSalvatore, who I cannot say enough about this kid.
Yeah.
As he goes out there and midway through the season has to come in and become a big-time passer for this team. Gets it done with, was it 14?
Yeah, 14.
14 touchdowns there. Grant Hitchcock is going to be there with 11. And then completions in the season, Tony Hall, 3rd all-time behind another Edgewood quarterback in the surgeon, Dr. Zach Winchell, with 131 there.
In front of another quarterback, too, from Edgewood, by the way.
And another one in Alex Wisnight, who I was just talking about.
Yeah, just seeing that had to, and then Jefferson bringing up
I
5,
told you,
6, 7, and 8 there, and 9. Sorry,
Edgewood has been passing since day one.
Yeah.
Vin Narducci got 94 completions this year. Nate Boyarski with 90, and Alex DeSalvatore with 83. Congratulations to all you young men on finding your way into history.
Yes.
Your seasons this year are going to translate. You are now, a top 100 player in all time when it comes to stats and all these kids. And that is something that nobody can take away from you, and all your hard work for the underclassmen who are coming into next year. Look to improve on that.
Yep.
Like a lot of the guys, you're seeing the same names over and over.
Yeah, it's fun. It's always fun to watch records get broken. You know what I mean?
It's the best. That's the whole reason to keep them.
Changing of the guard. It's like, over in the UK when they move them around. Anyways. But yeah, no, it's always fun to watch it, and it's just development of kids, and I love seeing records getting broken with the kids that are sophomores. Those are always fun because then you get to kind of watch them as they go.
As it
no
goes
offense
up.
to the seniors, but it's always fun to watch that one.
Any of the underclassmen, you give me
Yeah.
that junior kid, like a kid like Tony Hall, who goes out there and really finds his own. You wonder, boy, what is this senior year going to bring?
Yes,
And let me tell you this, folks. Ashtabula football, the future is looking up.
it is.
And I couldn't be more proud to be from this area and having the ability to cover these kids and provide them the shine that they deserve, and I believe have deserved for years.
Yeah, we get to talk about them on a weekly basis, and depending on how far they go, will continue to be how long we get to talk about them. So
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
10 weeks are guaranteed. Anything past that, though.
So listen, defensive records. I knew that was coming out there. Here's the issue: we are still calculating.
Yes.
Defensive records because we got some late stat additions. So defensive records are going to be released. Look for those Saturday.
And usually that one stirs the pot pretty good.
That one, because so here's the cool thing about defensive records is we have almost none prior to 3 years ago because we're apparently the only ones who kept them.
Know that's cool, but
cool for the youngsters.
I can't wait to get the messages to let us know how many they got. So when that does happen, everyone watching, you got to send an article from the Star Beacon. I don't care. The News Herald coverage at that time.
If
you got to send something.
If you feel you should be on that list,
yep,
great. We are trying to make sure that list is as intact as possible. The way to do it is show us visual proof, which comes by way of a newspaper article, or if you have an official scorecard,
yes,
or if you have, coaches, stat books or something like that. Unfortunately, I can't go by. I ran for 197 yards against Harbor back in '84.
Yep. So pretty much anything that's not a digital message to us.
Yes. I can't go
digital
by.
messages count in no way.
I can't.
Regardless whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, whatever we have.
Yeah. If you're gonna send it, it has to be a actual written document, a written record of it, and if it's on there and it's verifiable, guess what, baby? You're in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You write it on a piece of paper. Don't count it.
No, it has to be verifiable.
Yep.
You'd be surprised how much some of these schools have, though.
Yeah.
So
hopefully soon.
If you have a question as to do you have my records from here or here, contact your school, and a lot of times they keep that stuff.
Yep. All right, Sam. Definitely a fun show tonight. A lot of excitement. We got to see 2 players of the week. Matt Hatchett joined us again, and he said he's joining us again if the Falcons get the W. So
that's right, baby.
I'm gonna need that.
Let's go on, Jeff.
Yeah,
Jefferson. Let's get it done.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for tuning in this evening. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun. But I'm Ryan. This is my partner, Sam. I'm getting the heck out of here, whether or not he wants to or not. So
listen, tomorrow we are going to be covering the Kirtland Hornets taking on United at Kirtland Stadium. Can't wait to watch it. Make sure you don't miss a single minute of it right there on YSN. And good luck to the Geneva Eagles and the Jefferson Falcons representing Ashtabula in round 2 of the high school playoffs.
Hey, everyone gets to fly this week.
That's
everyone
right,
gets to fly, baby. Here we go. See you guys next week.